Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the Mario Galaxy movie. It comes out in about a week as of the time of this recording, and this one is a little bit unscripted just because I wanted to get it out and get my ideas kind of flowing. It's kind of hard to do that in a script with this because we are going to be predicting the Mario Galaxy movie today. We're going to be predicting the entire plot down to the last detail. I've scoured the internet for basically every single instance of a new clip or a new trailer with any new footage, so I think I got all of it. If not, there's maybe one or two clips that I missed. They're not going to be that important to the overall discussion, but yeah. Oh, and spoiler warning for the clips that I'm about to show you, and potential spoiler warning in case, I predict the entire movie correctly. For the record, also, I haven't looked at any leaks. I feel like that's cheating, and it's also not really fun for me. So yeah, if I get everything right by chance, that's on me. And let's get started. So I think the movie for sure opens up on the shot of Rosalina kind of talking with the Lumas, being like, here's the story about Peach. And then they interrupt her and she kind of goes into this like preamble talking about Mario and Luigi. That's for sure how it opens. It's just like the perfect opening, even though it was like a separate art style. And then right after that, I think the exact next thing we get is this Tostarena desert scene. They're driving through the desert. We've seen this clip so many times in the trailers and the promotional material, and I kind of think that it just opens like immediately on this. There's a scene, I don't know if I have it here, I might add it in post. There's a scene where they're like fighting Pokies in the desert. So there's probably like an action sequence where they're arriving to Tostarena Town. While Mario and Luigi are driving to Tostarena Town, they're going to be talking about the Star Festival that's happening. It's mentioned in one of the trailers that it's Peach's birthday, or they're celebrating her birthday, which is standard for Mario, but I think they're combining like the birthday party with the Star Festival that happens every 1,000 years in the game. So they're going to be talking about that on the way, and Mario specifically is going to be talking about like, oh my gosh, like I'm so excited, I gotta get Peach a present, or like I'm excited to give her a present. Maybe he's trying to like escalate things between them, like, oh, I really like Peach, and maybe I'm gonna have a special moment with her, but they're gonna be talking about that on the way there. Aside from that, they make it there, they talk with the Tostarenans. They're looking to fix a broken pipe, which, if we're looking at this movie in the hero's journey sense, with the protagonist being at their resting point, their status quo, I think we're seeing this here, where they're doing their daily hero work, they're fixing pipes, etc. It's kind of where we left off, and they are speaking with the Tostarenans, and they point out this pyramid they're kind of going through and exploring and fighting off, like, I think there's Buzzy Beetles here. They eventually see the source of the pipe's problems with the rocks, and then they encounter Yoshi. And that's kind of where we get introduced to him, like, right off the bat. I think this is going to have a big emphasis on Yoshi, obviously. It's important to have him show up, like, in the very beginning of the movie. And it's just going to be, like, this really fast-paced thing, because there's a lot of stuff in this movie, which is a bit concerning for me personally, but, we'll save that for the review. Anyway, they meet Yoshi, and in this extended clip, we get to see a little bit more of that, where they're meeting Yoshi, and he has this kind of like Scooby-Doo-esque vibe to him, which I kind of love. They immediately become fast friends. I think that's just kind of the vibe we're getting. They show off Yoshi to all the Tostarenans. Yoshi steals Luigi's bike like a champ, and then they drive back to the Mushroom Kingdom. I think there's going to be like a montage of him hanging out with Mario Bros. I think that's where the scene of him with the Chain Chomp comes in. There's this clip of Mario freezing Luigi, and you can see like a Toad with a cotton candy ball, and I think that's kind of just like part of the status quo, like they're getting ready for the party, having some fun. There's this clip that feels really out of place, which for a long time I had no idea where this went, but it's all three of them getting ready for the party, because as you can see in this clip, Mario's got this present, and that shows up a couple of times, but basically what happens is in one of the other elongated clips that we see, where he's holding this thing, that's Peach's parasol that he gives her at the party, and so it would be weird if he had this like somewhere else in the movie. So I think what's happening is like part of the montage at the very end is like them getting ready for the party. Maybe he finds the present here in the real world. Regardless, he takes Yoshi to the real world, which is kind of insane to me. Mario's a lunatic for that one. But maybe he has a moment where he's like talking to his family, being like, hey, I really like this girl. Like, what kind of present can I get her, etc. And when they get back, we see Toad again. Toad is very obviously jealous of Yoshi. That's going to be like his character arc, is he's going to see Yoshi and he's going to be like, oh my god, this guy, like this new guy is so annoying. And Yoshi's probably going to be a big happy dog that kind of goes crazy at points. And Toad's like not a dog person, so he's going to be kind of annoyed. I think later on there's probably going to be a scene where Yoshi steps in and saves Toad, and then their issues kind of go away. But yeah, Yoshi introduces himself to Toad. They go through the festival. There's going to be a little bit of time where we're going to get to see what everybody's up to in the festival. You know, they're playing carnival games, they're having fun. It's kind of weird to have two montages back to back like this, but maybe one's more of just like a longer scene. But there is a scene of penguins dancing, which is totally at the party. Alternatively, this could be at the very end of the movie. They have an epic dance number, which, you know, wouldn't be all too surprising if they did that. Then we get this long clip of Mario and Peach kind of just talking on the rooftop. It seems like she is avoiding being at the festival. I think she's avoiding the attention, and Mario's like, where's Peach? Where's Peach? I want to give her a present. And everybody's like, we haven't seen her. Like, maybe she's at her castle, you know, go check it out. And Mario and Luigi split up. You know, Luigi stays behind with Yoshi and Toad, and he finds her, you know, and in this clip, he gives her this parasol. She's like super excited about it, and they hang out on the castle. Then the main event happens. The stars like show up, and you can see all these like beautiful stars with like the star bits floating down from the sky. Then we get a scene where this ship is landing. They might want you to believe that it's like Bowser's ship, but I think this might actually be the Comet Observatory. I can't tell. Maybe it's obvious to someone that's like looking at it, but it just looks like the Comet Observatory to me. And I think this is where like Rosalina shows up. She's either landing here or she sent somebody, and I think it's some sort of like distress message like, hey, there's people coming for this planet or this galaxy. Bowser Jr. is coming. Bowser has a son, and you should like really consider helping me out because he's trying to take over the galaxy. And everybody's gonna be like, you know, this is crazy, this is wild, this is insane. Mario's probably like, who are you? How can we trust you? But I think Peach kind of has this like, Peach has this motivation to protect others and to look out for people more so than even like Mario does. She is going to, and we can even see this in the next scene, she's probably going to want to assist Rosalina. And I think what happens is Rosalina lands, she tells them like what's been going on with Bowser Jr. So I think that's where this scene of Bowser Jr. monologuing, and then this huge the Mega Leg robot shows up. I think we see that in a flashback where Bowser Jr. is attacking Princess Rosalina on the Comet Observatory. There's this whole epic fight scene. Rosalina kind of destroys Mega Leg and sends him packing, but he'll be back with better revisions. And Rosalina's kind of just like, hey, you know, he'll be back, and he's coming for his father, and his father lives here, like on the Mushroom Kingdom. So you guys need to make sure that he doesn't get access to his father, and that he doesn't even think to come here, or to that extent, like, you should protect yourself. And then, you know, she invites any of them who are willing to come and help try to save the galaxy. We kind of see this clip of Princess Peach. There's some screenshots that have also been revealed, and this one in particular shows Peach writing a note, and I'm sure she says something along the lines of like, we'll think about it, like, we'll think about rescuing people. You know, actually, wait, hang on. You know what I think it might be? Actually, on scrutiny, there's this little Luma here. I think maybe he's coming down on his own and warning her about it. He comes down, he's sent from Rosalina, and he tells them the flashback, like what happens, like the story so far. And he's like, hey, Peach, we need to go right now. I'm going to turn myself into a launch star and we're going to get out of here. Are you in or are you out? And Peach is like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm in. Then her and Toad and the Luma go, and he turns himself into a launch star, and then they go flying away. And that's how they get off of their home planet and immediately go on their little adventure, and that's how they get split up. And I think the aftermath of that is that the Toads are freaking out. They're like, where did Peach go? Like, holy shit, like, what is going on? Who's gonna run the kingdom? Are we doomed to be like attacked by the Koopa clan again? And Mario and Luigi are like, no, man, like, it's chill. She sent us this note. We've got this letter. Like, you can even see the letter in his hand here. We'll take it from here. We'll guard Bowser, make sure that nobody lays his hands on him, because we know that he's coming. From there, I think this is where that first scene from the trailer comes in. This is like the first shot of Bowser we get in this entire movie, where we see him doing all this with the paint and the paintings and stuff. Then, you know, Mario and Luigi are like, hey, what are you up to? Your son's coming, whatever. They might not even alert Bowser to that. They might just be kind of talking about them amongst themselves and like checking in on Bowser to make sure everything's like fine. And also, as an aside, I kind of wanted to point this out. There's a big theme revolving around paint in this movie, which makes sense considering Bowser Jr. is probably the main villain of this thing, more so than Bowser even. But here we see Bowser painting the paintings, and I'm wondering if this is like the origin of the Super Mario 64 paintings that like teleport you. Just random thought. I don't have any basis, and it probably isn't in the movie, but I just wanted to throw that out there. After this scene, you know, they're checking up on Bowser. They're trying to maintain the status quo with the Toads, keep the peace and everything. Then we get we cut back to what's going on with Peach and Toad after they've been flying around in space for a little bit. They get launched to the Gateway Galaxy. We can see an exterior shot of it here, but we can see this overhead shot, you know, a lot of different characters flying around. They're basically just like looking around. It's this whole like cool big world building moment where they're kind of introduced to the galaxy at large and they're able to see all these people. And their goal here is that they want to meet up with someone. Presumably this Luma has been sent to send them to meet Rosalina, but they're probably going to have to find a way to get there. You know, the Luma was a one-way trip. I don't think he stays around. If he does, then they're doing a great job of hiding him in the rest of the trailer scenes. They meet Rob. You know, he's guiding them to different parts of the galaxy. But before we get more into what they're up to, we cut back to the Mushroom Kingdom again. And immediately, you know, after a little while, this scene happens where Bowser Jr. shows up. And this big UFO comes and basically just tries to lift the entire castle up into the sky and take it with him. He's trying to get Bowser back. We've seen this clip like a million times. Well, first of all, they're trying to get everyone to escape. You know, Yoshi and Luigi are there also trying to help. And the three of them get picked up and lifted off into the galaxy. Bowser Jr. shows up. This is like the first time we've seen him in the movie. Sorry, this is the first time they've seen him in the movie. We've seen him fighting Rosalina. And we've got a ton of clips of this where they're fighting him and they do a decent job at holding him off at first. But ultimately, Bowser Jr. is going to be able to defeat them. I'm not sure how, but it is worth noting there's a shot here that is cut kind of strangely in the trailer, but we see Megaleg busting through the floor. So I'm wondering if Bowser Jr. gets kind of defeated and Mario even grabs a paintbrush and they think like, oh, we did it, like good job, like we totally defeated him. And then he comes back with like the Megaleg robot, or even he gets defeated and then Kamek is the one like driving the Megaleg robot and just like sends them flying, because after this we see them getting knocked off of the ship and it crash lands on a galaxy and they land in the Honey Hive Galaxy. The reason I can tell it's the Honey Hive Galaxy, for one, is because we know that exists in the movie, but also these flowers here just look very similar to the ones in Super Mario Galaxy 1, the ones that you like spin on. And immediately after they land, Bowser, he is free to you know, roam around and escape. Then, you know, Yoshi eats him and they capture him again, and it's kind of like, let's protect Bowser, make sure Bowser Jr. doesn't keep him. They kind of go on through the Honey Hive Galaxy to presumably try to, you know, get back with Peach and Toad and kind of recongeal everything, because they're clearly not safe back in the Mushroom Kingdom, and also they need to get the castle back. Then we see what Peach and Toad have been up to. See, the thing that I'm concerned about is like, if they're looking for Rosalina, then it doesn't really make sense why they aren't just going towards the Con Observatory, unless it's been like taken over or she's immediately already been captured. If she was beaten by Bowser Jr., then it makes sense that they're trying to figure out what Bowser Jr. is up to. Maybe it's like, hey, Bowser Jr.'s been, you know, snooping around the galaxy. He has partners in like weird places. Like, you need to figure out what his plan is. And they get a lead that leads them to this shady looking like Blade Runner-esque galaxy. And either way, though, they get here probably from the Gateway Galaxy, and they are chasing this Yukiki. He's probably like an informant or something. It's not supposed to be taken super seriously, but he has some sort of like equipment, and they're chasing him. They go through this area. I'm not sure what specific like world this is supposed to be, if any, because this doesn't look like anything in the game. They eventually make it to this like shady bar with all these enemies, and I think what happens here is either they're captured or they like speak with people. They basically get led down this rabbit hole of like crime and conspiracy, and they eventually make their way to Wart's Big Casino. Speaking of which, this is like a huge question mark block in the sky, probably related. So like they probably from the Blade Runner galaxy get info on like where Wart's Casino is, and they're like, hey, this guy is the guy you want. He has all the info. He knows Bowser Jr. and Bowser Jr.'s like been there with him recently. It's kind of like a noir detective storyline going on, and they get that info from the Yukiki, and they eventually go to this place. Wart might be like a weapons supplier, might be just like giving Bowser Jr. more just support. Either way, he's got connections and they want to know like how to get to him. Presumably, I think they're looking for the galaxy that Bowser Jr. is creating, and we'll get to that later on, but his giant planetoid of destruction. And to get there, they need answers from Wart. It's probably kind of like Attack of the Clones-esque, where they're kind of looking for this invisible planet that doesn't exist, and they kind of have to get answers from different people about it. The answers lie with Wart. You know, they're talking to Wart. far, he's kind of like being very coy, even gives Peach like either VIP access or maybe this is like a secret portal. Behind Toad here, there's like a pathway, and I'm not sure where that is. It might lead into the question mark. Maybe like a portal of some kind, but I guarantee you like Wart's gonna be super chill up until she starts asking questions about Bowser Jr. and digging into that. Once she does start digging, he's gonna, tap into his security. And in fact, we can even see the Ukiki that she was chasing in the previous scene. So it kind of looks like he's like the right-hand man to Wart, and this guy has like led them right to Wart. Because of that, Wart has problems now because they know too much, and he's going to try to execute them. That doesn't work, and as a result, she probably corners him and gets the info that she wants, where the location of the thing is, what Bowser Jr. is up to, where Rosalina is, whatever. All those questions are going to get answered right there. Back on the Honey Hive Galaxy though, I think what's going to happen here, they're going to probably be like snooping around. They might even come into conflict with the locals that live there, with the bees. They're suspicious of Mario. They've never seen anybody like him. They could do like a Bowser Jr. Shadow Mario kind of thing from like Sunshine, where he's been like messing around and disguised as Mario, and they have to clear his name. But either way, I do think the bees are going to be hostile at first, but I think that's going to be cleared up pretty soon. The big thing though is there's this blue toad that is hanging out with them in a lot of scenes, and they're kind of doing this like pass the blue toad thing. And I think what happens is this toad has been like stranded on this honey planet, probably by like wandering into the forest and like going through a pipe that he wasn't supposed to or something like that. The setup is kind of like, oh hey, like we're stuck here, how do we get back to the Mushroom Kingdom now? We're like so far away. And then they just run into this toad in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, why is there a toad here? How did this happen? And because of that, they are like, okay, well there's some sort of connection here, because there's no way that like a toad could just magically appear out of thin air. They kind of talk to the toad and get some details. He tells them about how he's stuck out here, and they formulate this plan. He kind of like tells them the pathway that he went from. Maybe the pipe is broken or something like that, and that's kind of why he can't get back. So they're plumbers, they fix it. But there's a shot where they're in the castle and they're looking at this map, the same map that they used in the first movie, and it looks like levels in like a classic Mario game with the dots and the pipes. So what I'm guessing is they're trying to return this toad home, and he's like guiding them through the pipes and through like the pathways that he went through to get there, but he just wouldn't be able to do it himself because he's not like super. So the three of them set out to take him back home alongside some hijinks in the Honey Hive Galaxy. The Bee Queen obviously has to show up. That's probably how they meet the toad, is like he's hanging out in the Honey Kingdom and she's like, we don't like your kind here, like the Mushroom Kingdom people, like this guy's making a mess. I think the toad is going to be kind of like a thorn in the side of the Honey Queen, and he's going to be kind of this little shit. She's going to be more than happy to send them packing if they get rid of him. I think that's kind of going to be the premise here. And also with that, they might make a plea to the Honey Queen, be like, hey, listen, Bowser Jr., we're his enemy too. We have his father. They're gonna be like, oh my god, you have his father, like why would you bring him here? And they're gonna be like, well, because we're keeping him away from Bowser Jr. and we need your help defeating him. Are you with us or with them? And they might like recruit the bees to be in part of like the final battle, so to speak. There's a ton of shots of them running around passing the toad. I think this is gonna be kind of like an action montage. The toad keeps getting into danger, and they eventually make it back to the Mushroom Kingdom. And that's kind of like we did it, we got back, we made it back here, now what? And they tuck the toad in, and that's the end of that plot line. Here's where it gets kind of dicey, because some of these scenes I have no answer for, but I'm gonna try my best. The biggest question mark that I have in this movie is the stuff with the T-Rex. At no point in the rest of this movie do the Mario brothers, first of all, they're never babies outside of this one scene. Also, Yoshi has a gun, and they're also with Toad, which is the big reason why I'm super confused, because it's like, why is Toad there? He's with Peach. I'm wondering if when they eventually meet up again, they don't split off like immediately after, but they eventually get back to the Mushroom Kingdom, and so too does Peach and Toad. They're going to meet up again, and Bowser Jr. is going to ambush them in some sort of way. He is going to somehow split up the main brothers with like Peach, because there has to be a conflict where they reunite and then they get separated a second time. So obviously Bowser Jr. fights them, gets Bowser back, because in another scene we see him like talking to the Koopas, celebrating his return. In addition, Bowser Jr. is hanging out with Bowser in the giant flying saucer and kind of showing off his Doomsday Kingdom. I'm guessing what happens is that they kidnap Peach again, which I don't love, but I don't hate. I think if Bowser Jr. does kidnap Peach, that makes more sense for the scene. So let's say they meet up again. Bowser Jr. defeats the gang by turning Mario and Luigi into babies and getting them out of the picture. Or Kamek does that. He beats the team, kidnaps Peach and Bowser. And he has two princesses. They are being held in a prison cell on the spaceship. And that's where where Luma Lee comes in. Either he's a traitor or he is in disguise as a prison guard. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I think it's funnier if he just is evil. Bowser Jr. kind of captures Rosalina and is questioning her. His motive is that she obviously has power over the stars and the cosmos, and the Common Observatory runs on star energy. And in the first movie, the star is like something that's super sacred and important, and there's like one of them. But in Mario Galaxy and in this movie, stars are pretty common. And so I think what he's trying to learn is how to harness the power of the star energy. And she's not answering him, and he's trying to question her and get that information out of her so that he can power his own galaxy. But they have another fight once she inevitably breaks out. Meanwhile, back with the brothers, Yoshi and Toad with baby Mario and Luigi wander off into another kingdom, potentially on the Mushroom Kingdom, or they might go down another warp pipe, but they make it to what looks like Cascade Kingdom, and they're trying to find a device that allows them to turn Mario and Luigi back into adults. From the looks of it, the Super Scope kind of gun that Yoshi has is what does it. It clearly has some sort of importance to the plot, so I'm guessing what it is that it turns them back into adults. As an aside too, I think it's really funny that Yoshi's carrying a gun here, because for one, this is obviously a Yoshi's Island reference, but for two, I love that like they're referencing what looks to be Yoshi's Safari here. Anyways, this is also another spot in the movie where Toad and Yoshi bicker. They just don't work well together. Toad's not a dog person. Once all of this happens though, they are able to turn Mario and Luigi back into adults. They're able to warp or contact another Luma that sends them to the Gateway Galaxy. Peach and Rosalina are able to break out. They all meet up in the Gateway Galaxy. Rosalina probably breaks her out and sends her there to meet up with Mario. It looks like in this scene, Toad has a ton of money, which they probably stole from Wart, but that's able to get them some sort of like direct travel line to where they want to go. Now that they have the location and the means to take on Bowser Jr. and the full Koopa army, they storm this gigantic galaxy and they begin the final fight. There's a scene where they're using power-ups. They probably get them. It's probably similar to the scene in the first movie, or Mario and Donkey Kong are all like storming Bowser's airship. Luigi and Toad, maybe just Luigi even, is going to fight Bowser Jr. Mario and Peach are going to be fighting Bowser, as we can see in this clip here. They're kind of storming like a very typical looking Bowser's castle, which kind of echoes the training sequence in the first movie, but instead of it being like the regular training sequence, it's like actually deadly. It looks like a Mario level. And we see here with Bowser on the bridge and the axe that they're kind of mirroring that. So they're going to be busy fighting Bowser, and this might be like a romantic moment if they go for like a love story angle where Mario is finally able to express his feelings with Peach and they get that plot line finished. While Luigi and Toad, or just Luigi, are fighting Bowser Jr., Yoshi is going to be fighting Kamek up in the sky. He immediately, or after a little while, defeats Kamek, takes him out of the mech, and takes control of Mega Leg for himself, kind of blasting Bowser Jr. out of there. He uses Mega Leg to kind of elevate the stakes where he takes down some of the other Koopas. After Mario and Peach presumably defeat Bowser, they all kind of come together to fight Bowser Jr. and they take him down. And from there, we don't have any clips from the very ending of the movie, but I would assume maybe they shrink him down too. They do a nice little bookend. Bowser Jr. and Bowser are both tiny, and they're both painting together like father and son, and they're working on paintings in the little tiny Bowser castle. And then they have a dance number. There's going to be a dance party at the end, is what I'm trying to say. Aside from that, though, that's pretty much going to be it. The post-credit scene. I think this movie's going to have one, and my guess is that it's going to be Wario. This makes sense for the next Mario movie. Or it could be leading into the Donkey Kong movie. Either or. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the Mario Galaxy movie. And if I get at least 75% of the movie correct, you guys owe me a subscribe. I think it's well deserved. Anyway, see you guys later. Bye.